Okay. So yeah, I'm Theo, and then
Hi, Theo.
my boyfriend Blarg, he's a co-host too.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello,
I'm
Blarg.
the other I'm the Derg.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm so glad. Like, I hit you up a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, I wonder if you want to talk about like VR and stuff, what you're interested in on a random podcast.
And then giving a bunch
Yeah,
of
yeah, that's awesome. I was like, yeah, totally. And it's just coincidentally, if any other weekend, I mean, I've been literally sitting home with this COVID stuff, like I haven't been anywhere. So when you're like, can you do Saturday? I'm like, yeah, no, anytime.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
good. And then all of a sudden, I had a couple friends from out of town, and they're like, oh, hey, we're in the area. And then we started talking in my front yard, and it turned into like a 5-hour thing. And I come into the house, and I'm like, oh, crap, I forgot about this.
Oh,
Any other situation, I would have been ready to go, but I was out in the front yard.
No, it's okay.
Sometimes
I mean,
the bullshit be real.
I know.
I totally get that feeling with coworkers sometimes.
it's okay. We just fill the time with playing Among Us anyway. Yeah, backstabbing
Just
people.
vote Theo out. It's okay.
But yeah, I mean, we can kick this show off proper. But oh wait, no, actually, before we do that, I just want to go over some things real quick. So as far as some housekeeping, this is a pretty open format show. You can swear, you can talk about anything you yourself feel comfortable talking about. Do you have anything like that you are uncomfortable being questioned about or anything? I try not to keep it too personal, just things that you're interested in.
I'm good. Hey, I could talk about anything.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's always easy with the like we're all open books pretty much.
I just have a strange phobia for uncooked potatoes, so please don't talk anything about potatoes.
Okay, that might come up, but
So baked potatoes.
Damn it!
yeah, no, we'll make sure they're baked or mashed for you for your
okay.
comfort.
You stick them in a stew.
I thought cats were afraid of cucumbers. Wasn't it cucumbers? Or
Yes, I spoke with my
Well, what if it's
therapist,
a
and
really-
I've gotten over that.
What
Transition.
if it's a really fat snake and it looks like a potato?
what if the snake ate a potato and then approached you?
Oh, yeah,
then-
that's
That would fall
the
into the fear
megaphobia.
factor.
Yeah. The mega fear.
I know, furry
The-
fear factor. Yeah,
The mega potato.
furry factor. That sounds
A
like a good
snake
show.
eating a potato.
Stay tuned.
Okay, cool. Actually, I hope I hit the right button. Let's kick off the intro. This might be a bit loud for you, so I apologize beforehand. Hello, guys. Welcome to TreeBark. This is episode 23, and we have a furry interview. I'm joined with Coopertom, so I'm your host, Theo.
And I'm your co-host, Blarg.
And I'm Coopertom.
The cat, yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today. And
Thank you for having me.
if I look at your Twitter bio really quick, like you wear a lot of hats, and you are into car collecting or at least remodeling. You're into cars in general. You work in IT. You do a lot of stuff in VR. And like, is there anything else that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah. I'm in all sorts of stuff. Cars, furry, IT stuff. I collect, obscure old computers and electronics and synthesizers, and yeah. So if it makes some noise or if it's got some wheels, I'm interested.
And you're also a fursuiter, YouTuber, and even into synthesizers too. So there's a lot of stuff that I would love to ask you about and get into. Kind of the big one already that I've caught word of you from was from your like experience and your videos sharing your kind of like tours through different virtual worlds, and like you've even made some too for yourself. So could you talk a little bit about how like what got you into the VR space?
Yeah, it's crazy how this all came together, because I mean, I was really interested again with like technology and all this other stuff. So I was a Kickstarter back when Oculus was before it even was owned by Facebook. I was on the thing. I had the dev kit and I was playing around with virtual reality stuff for a while. And then I heard about VR chat, and I got involved with that back when it first came out. It was like 2017, 2018. But it was kind of like a free for all, like a Wild West kind of situation. The UI was terrible, and it was just, and I had the idea of like, wow, I could find like other furries in VR chat. This would be amazing. And it wasn't there. I mean, there were pockets of people that I'd run into, but eventually I got kind of tired with it and I moved on and I started doing other things. But when
like,
this COVID stuff happened and everyone was getting stuck in their house, I was like, let me hop back on VR chat. And that was back in March. And I ran into a couple more people and there was a significant larger user base. And I was like, oh, dude. So I started recording a couple of these, interactions with other furries in VR chat, and I started putting them on Twitter, and everyone is like, what is this? Oh my God, please tell me what this is. And I'm like, guys, it's VR chat, the thing that's been around for like a couple years now. And within that first month of posting videos in March, people were like coming to me and telling me like, oh my God, I bought a VR stuff because of you, and I saw your videos. And I was like, oh, I thought like people knew about this stuff, but apparently like it was enlightening people as far as being a furry and being on VR chat.
No, yeah,
so it just kind of blew up from there.
Yeah, like as you mentioned, especially with the whole lockdown and everybody being shut in for like the past half a year now already. The VR space has definitely been booming, but yeah, actually, so you were interested in VR from the very get-go, then being an early adopter.
Oh yeah.
What was like the inclination there? Was it just something that you thought you'd try? Because as far as my knowledge goes, like there wasn't really VR. It was mostly like kind of gimmicky 3D things at the time. And like Nintendo did a Virtual Boy like super long ago.
That's like old. That was kind of
1980s. I think.
To be honest, it was kind of a little ahead of its time, but it was too early.
Yeah. So what gave you like the idea like, oh, I'm gonna try this out, and like what was exciting about it?
See, that's one of the things. I was born in the early '80s, and growing up as a kid in the '90s, like VR was something that was always promised to us. And as a kid, in like when Virtual Boy was coming out, and they're like, and all these things like Magnavox Scuba and all these other, and they're like, these are the futures of virtual technology, and then what we ended up getting was absolute crap, and I was so disappointed.
Yeah,
and I had this vision of virtual reality in my head since I was a kid, and then as soon as I caught wind of the guys at Oculus working on this headset that you can have in your house, and even at the very beginning, the early things that I saw with Oculus, I was like, this is it. This is exactly what they've been promising, like telling us that we'd be getting in the '90s, but like these guys are actually doing it. So like I just jumped right on board, and I was like, yes. And I ended up getting the dev kit, and it was like, even back then, you didn't have hand controllers. It was just like an Xbox controller. But like, just to be like in this virtual room and be like, look at this chair. It looks like it's there, So it was mind-blowing stuff. So I was always like super interested in that stuff. And as soon as I got word of it, I was all for it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like Tron, like seeing the movie and then seeing what it actually like.
Tron kind of like made everybody just go, "Oh yes,
yeah,
that's gotta be a thing. I'm gonna get laser beamed, and then I'm gonna throw some discs."
Yeah, it sounds like it had that same feeling that kind of ignited the fire for you, and then so. Since you picked it back up, though, what was it like? Were you actually in the furry fandom to begin with when you first adopted VR? Or, like, what was the blend there with, like, having VR, getting into the community, or getting into, like, the furry VR community?
Yeah, because I learned of the fandom in 1999, and at that time, what I found on the internet was kind of like, I couldn't really jive with it, because I was like, there's nothing really relatable. I mean, I liked it, like anthropomorphics, and I was like, all right, but I kind of lurked in the shadows, and I didn't get really involved with the fandom until about 2009, when it was more of this party atmosphere, and like I was like, oh my God, the conventions are like these giant parties now. And I'm like, all right, dude, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
So then I started getting involved with that, and then when VR came aboard, and then I found out about VR chat. And I was like, oh, dude, like this can also be the same type of connection in the fandom. So like, not even just VR, but like when you're like a furry, you're always looking for some type of furry integration with anything, because you're like, oh, I wonder if somebody else is interested in this, or if there's something like something furry related to anything you could throw at it. So as soon as it like VR chat was there, I was like, there's got to be other furries on there. I mean, there was the Hyena Emporium or something like that, and it was basically just that little tribal like hyena village thing with all the hyena, like that was the furry part of VR chat back in like 2017.
Oh,
And it's still there. It's still pretty cool.
Was that Ground
It's
Zero?
just as old as the way.
Oh yeah, that's oh my god. That's when I started. That's when I hopped in. That was at its peak.
Yeah.
The whole Ugandan Knuckles thing, and it was just like, what the hell? And it was the Wild West back then.
I caught wind of that around the same era where, yeah, that meme exploded like cancer, and also Pikapedi's Shiba Squad also became like really popular as well, and I started noticing a lot more furs adopting the model. I think when it went public, it just like spread like wildfire, and it just became like these really cool like vlog styled like VR experiences. And I see that's the way that you treat a lot of your videos too, when you find like this genuinely like cool new place that you're enjoying, and you're like, check this out with me. And I really, I put it on when I start drawing or something, and it's like a really cool thing. How, like, you even got into building your own worlds too. I noticed like a while back you did a Mr. Rogers set too. What, were you into 3D modeling or anything before this, or did the VR kickstart that as well?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I had this idea because I like to be involved in trying things and all this other stuff, but for some reason anything 3D modeling, it was like this level that's so over my head. I'm like I don't even know, because I played with Blender once, and at the time I just couldn't grasp what they were talking about, and there's too many settings. I'm like, forget it.
I feel like I'm in that position
but
right
it's one of those things, like you're always like talking to your friends and you're like, hey man, imagine if there was like a video game about this, or they could make a game about that. And then when I started playing around with VR chat, and it was like they basically hand you the keys. They're like, here, go nuts, make whatever you want.
It's such a sandbox. Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. I was like, wait, what? You can just get Unity for free and make whatever the hell you want with it?
Yeah.
So I started poking around. I watched some YouTube videos, and everything just kind of came together. It's a lot scarier looking than it actually is. Like if you just stick with it for like a couple of days, everything will just start making sense after a while.
Oh, as far as like getting used to the tools and like this new software. Yeah, okay, I definitely get that. Like that's the same way when I transferred from using Clip Studio, and then I wanted to try out Photoshop, and then now I'm on Photoshop full time, and I'm like way more fluid. So like what gave you the idea to just start making like sets from like shows, and even like I think one of your recent largest one going on right now is the mall, right?
Nice outside, by the way.
Yeah, it's really cool. No,
Thanks.
Okay, yeah, like little anecdote. Blarg and I's first virtual date was at your mall. Yeah.
Because like I don't know, it's kind of interesting seeing the remnants of like that art,
that
like,
era
of decor.
Yeah.
And then kind of growing up in there and just watching that transition away into like more like trying to be open space instead of like
what malls are today.
Like, yeah, because like malls now seem to be like trying to have this like open feel with having more
very modern.
Yeah, just rip everything out, make everything low maintenance.
But I don't know. When I stepped into that Payless, I'll tell you, I have never felt more like 7 years old.
You should see well, speaking of which, you should see the new update. He put a lot of things. Like if you jump onto the roof, there's actually AC units up on the roof. Weirdly enough. I can't believe you actually put that out there.
Oh, well, okay. Before we get ahead of ourselves, could you give us a rundown of the mall and like what you started with, and then how it's progressed for you?
Yeah.
I didn't plan on making the mall at all. Like, I started playing around with it with Unity, and I made like the cursed birthday room and all this other stuff, and then I was like, I want to make something 80s. I don't know what it is, but I love 80s stuff. I love the way things look in the 80s. So I was playing around on how to emulate neon, and I was like, how do I make something look like neon? So I was like making these rods and making them glow, and then putting like light emissions on it. And then I was putting that up against different surfaces to see how it reflects. And I'm like, all right, that looks pretty cool. And then I was looking at it, I'm like, that looks like something that would be like in a mall. And then I made like a hallway, and I just put a bunch of neon in it, and I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. And then I figured out, I was like, well, I could probably make a mall really fast if I like make it in copy like pieces that I can copy. So then I made like these modules of stores. So like one's like 8 meters by 12 meters, one's 10 meters by 12. So like there's 3 different size stores, and I made this, there were just boxes with no front on them, and you could clip them together like Legos, and I made like to 2 wings of the mall and everything like within like 2 hours. And I was like,
oh wow,
dude, I just made this whole freaking thing. But what didn't dawn on me as I was making it, I was like, after I put it all together, I was like, I have to put crap in these stores. I'm like, that alone is going to be a job in itself for every store. So like I had to like break it down into like chunks where I was like, all right, I'm going to do this first. And then after I make those parts of that store, I can copy those parts and put them in other stores, so I don't have to like keep doing it over and over again.
Oh.
So as I started making more and more stores, I ended up like making my own like asset pack that I could start populating the other stores. So it kind of snowballed and got quicker and quicker. But yeah, I had no intentions of making that. I just was playing with neon, and that caused me to make a mall.
Oh wow, yeah, I know. If you emit enough photons at, I guess, Earth, but it'll emit a mall.
Mall. If you make enough neon, a mall will come.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then the furries will come. Yeah.
Yeah, the furries will come and raid the.
It was funny with the roof though. I had as I was making it, I'm like, I don't need to do anything with the roof. Like, you're not gonna see the roof. And then the first night I made the mall public, instantly furries figured out how to get on the roof, and they're poking around. And I'm like, crap, now I have to make a roof now. And I had to put air conditioning units and textures up there. And
to be honest, that was more extreme than I ever thought it would be. Yeah, it's fun to jump around because there is kind of jumping glitches.
I don't think I've been there since I think I saw
you haven't seen the outside.
You edit in a BK. I didn't see.
There's literally a parking lot outside the door.
Oh yeah, there's parking lot, trees, everything.
Oh my god. Okay, we have to go on our second date already then. Okay.
Yeah, if you want, we can go. And then we can jump
I just
on the
added
roof
an arcade, which was a joint effort with Ness and Vin Vertigo.
Oh. So
the arcade was kind of a thorn in my side, because everybody's like, you're going to put an arcade, right? And I'm like, yes, I'm going to put an arcade, but like, I'm going to have to make the arcade machines or something. And like, that was going to be a huge hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to sign up. It was empty. And I'm like, yeah, I got to do something with that. And then Ness, I actually know Ness, like he used to live local by me, and Vin Vertigo, they make arcade machines, like 3D models of arcade machines for fun. So like they're just like, oh hey, you want our arcade machines? We can put them in your. I'm like, yes, please, because that's gonna save me. And so the arcade in there, all these weird like furry arcade machines are in there now, and they're all from Ness and Vin and Ante. Also gave me an arcade machine, so like it's cool because people are kind of contributing like the stuff to me to put into the mall.
Yeah, and it'll help you with so many more assets and so many more like fun little details that go into like this giant box that is the mall now that you've created, like a platform. Was the like can you kind of illuminate me, because as far as like the VR world and like the nitty gritty of like the technical side behind it, like can you just keep uploading to this same file in the VR space, or is there a limit to what you can do in terms of like depth of like, you have an arcade machine, you have the model is running the game within a game, like what is the depth there?
It's a texture.
Yeah, it's interesting because I had, again, when I was going into this thing blind, so I had no idea from the get-go like how does any of this work. So you know with Unity you have the VRChat SDK, which is like an import package that you import to Unity, and it just kind of plugs itself into Unity and wires it up so like whatever you make in Unity can be uploaded to the VRChat servers, and it does some stuff in the background to make sure that's compatible with VRChat. So on the back end, you really don't need to know anything about virtual reality. It handles all of that. Like you basically just have to make sure there's a spawn point for the player to come in, and that's in collisions and stuff like that. So, and it's one of those, that snowballing effect. Like you can start off really basic, knowing nothing about it, and still being able to make something that you can put into VRChat, and then you can keep going deeper and deeper with like details and
love
certain
that.
filters and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's I don't know what the limit is. I'm running into problems with lighting because to optimize the worlds, you have to bake the lights. So like the computer has to calculate the way the light rays bounce off the walls and the shadows and like stuff again I had no idea about. But and that takes a lot of processing power because it's got to make basically like an image map that kind of lays over all the shapes.
And that's for like the fidelity of like the quality of the light in the virtual space that you want people to render with their machines, or you can do like sort of like pre-baked light where things are just naturally illuminated in a specific way.
Yeah, so there's 3 pieces to the lighting. There's the light itself, and then the light that it emits, and like how bright the light is. And then there's also reflection of the light, so the way the light bounces off. So there's these things called reflection probes and light probes that you have to place. They're invisible. You don't see them in the world, but when you're building the world, you have to place these probes everywhere people are going to be walking. So it calculates what the player is going to look like in that light. So as like you have like a purple light in like the corner of on the left side of the room, and then you have like a pink light or a green light on the right side of the room. These light probes calculate when the player walks what color to change the player's like overlay with. Like, so it's nuts, like stuff I never even thought about.
Yeah.
And
does this dip into...
so there's a lot of stuff going on that's already pre-rendered. There's not a lot, but there you can have also real-time lighting, but they don't really want you to do too much of that because that's what actually does the horsepower on the player side is the real-time lighting, because it's telling them, okay, their computer is going to have to figure out the shadows and all this other stuff. So you can get away with like 1 or 2 or 3, but then that's about it, because then you'll get out of control from there.
Yeah, and does this dip into what's known as like ray tracing? So when you're actually like generating light, it's naturally following these like algorithms to generate natural light.
So with baked, it's like it's more of like it's always stagnant.
Yeah.
And then, like, when the character goes through it, it'll calculate it out the character based on, like, whatever their character model has associated to, like, what emissions. And
from their perspective.
Yeah. But, like, with RTX, it's really different where it ends up based on, like, how reflective that person's skin may be and then, like, all that stuff, and then how that bounces around. And so it requires a different processing.
Yeah, like, the ray tracing stuff is, like, a whole nother can of worms. Like, I don't even know.
I don't even know if VRC
okay.
has the capability to actually do RTX.
I know, because I was looking at one of the worlds that you checked out. That's room that I think you were talking about, where you could just stare at this table and talk about it for like an hour because of how beautiful it looked. And like I legit thought you were standing in front of a photo or something.
Yeah.
So. But then you could go sit on the couch or whatever, or like you can go to the office, and it was so crazy. Like
it's being rendered.
Yeah, seeing that in real time was mind blowing, because it's like this shows what like the future is. Like we're living in a simulation. There's no question.
I mean, you are living in a simulation when you're in VR.
It's interesting because even like if you look at it from a timeline standpoint, we are at like the very beginning of this. Like
what?
And it's amazing.
Under a decade? Under 2 decades?
Well, I mean, even from like a user, a consumer VR consumer standpoint, like we are at the very beginning, because it like the first thing that came out was Oculus, and that was in 2015. So we're only like 5 years in.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, and they just came out with the Oculus 2, a more improved version, and it's wireless. It's crazy.
They had the first Oculuses. They had the HTC, then they
Index.
Index, and then you got the HTCs. They had like 2 other ones that came out. There's like a lot of headsets out nowadays. Like the new one's supposed to be the G2 from HP, and
I know you can strap a PC to your back. That's gonna be nuts. And so I mean, just to sort of like cap the VR, because I do want to get into a lot of other topics too with you. But like, what do you see the future of VR heading in? And then to even add on top of that, as a second follow up, like how do you see the furry world melding with that too?
Oh, Unfortunately, like, well, this unfortunate thing that I think of will be a good thing. But I think if once we get out of this COVID situation, I think the user base is going to drop off, and not like it's not going to be substantial, like a lot, but you're going to see, I think, a noticeable drop in the VR furry community if when we get out of this pandemic situation. So
I mean, wouldn't you want to go to like cons again?
I'll be totally happy if the user base drops. I'll be fine with that.
But now, like, sorry to interrupt, but like, the culture at least has been enriched for now.
Yes, it definitely gave it a boost. It's because what we have now is what I was looking for in 2017 with VR chat. 'Cause I'm like, I can't be the only guy here running around trying to find other people, And now you log in and you're guaranteed to, like, boom, you're gonna find somebody to hang out with and talk about furry stuff, and you're good to go.
I might see it. It might drop off a little bit, but I could see it still hold a good portion of people, especially when cons are still somewhat separated apart.
I mean, once you're done with this con, you'll just hop into another virtual convention at home. Maybe that'll ease the post-con depression.
There you go.
Yeah.
Actually, that's an interesting to think about, like, with VR now and people having bought the headsets, like, after convention's over, people are going to go back on and, like, follow up with everyone, so that could probably happen.
I was mentioning this to Blog like a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, but then it's like when you do get cons again, bring your virtual set into the con room, and then in the con simulate the con, and then go visit your virtual friends in real life at the con.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I when I first got the headset and, like, I was VR, and people back then were like, what are you talking about? And this is like 2015, 2014, because it was still like this far out there kind of thing, and I was all about the VR, and Microsoft came out with the HoloLens or something like that, and I was like, in the future there could be a possibility where you could wear a HoloLens, go to a convention, and then like on your badge you have like a QR code or something that has your, like, a 3D rendered thing of your avatar, and then it would superimpose your 3D furry character over your body in 3D real space in the convention, and you wouldn't see the person, you'd see their character, in real time being, motion captured with the augmented reality, and that could be a possibility. Like, that's a proof of concept kind of thing. That's like, it's out there, but we can do that.
We already.
Honest, I had that. Like,
you had that exact same idea. Yeah.
I'm, like, not the only one with that idea, thankfully.
It, like, right. It's because, like, what we have, like, you could do that.
I think that's kind of waiting for a little bit, is waiting for XR, AR stuff to actually get fully implemented, so that we can get to that level of doing overlays.
Yeah, something like maybe that's like can involve like the technology we have in a Kinect or something already. Like, combine that with the, like, a HUD for like glasses or something. Yeah.
I mean, the closest people doing that is Oculus.
Fur.
What was that?
Fur's done that. Fur on Twitter, because he's also doing a lot of VR stuff, and he has a motion capture thing hooked up with his VR headset, and then he had a projector projecting out the VR chat with, like, his character, like, almost like in like 1-to-1 scale of himself in the room. I
think wasn't he DJ setting too?
He was DJing with, like, his VR avatar, like, behind him or something like that. Yeah.
No, that was oh my goodness, which virtual there was one of the virtual cons did that. Not
Virtual Ferns? No,
not Virtual Ferns. The one before that.
Did they host the dance comp, or was it?
There was Virtual Anthrocon.
Oh yeah, there was AC. Yeah, not them.
Hold on, I was in the Discord.
He just did another one. He helped them out with it. I can't remember the name of it.
Online experience. That's what it was. Furality.
That's it.
DJ'd at. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. That was really cool. I think I spotted on Twitter right before Furality hit, and then he DJ'd for that.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I mean, so as far as, like, the future of the community, I do think that, like, in terms of VR, we're probably gonna get some sort of blend of AR and VR for cons, and I mean, there's so many like furs, yeah, in IT and in production and stuff that run a lot of the back end that is cons. Like, I don't see them like not having fun with that kind of tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I mean, to even like back it up, like I do like to get a little bit of history for my guests and stuff, our guests. So, what got you like to get the elephant out of the room? What got you into the fandom, Coopertom?
Oh man,
I mean, you were even early too. You said 1990s.
99. I found it like that's like Furnation was like a big thing because I was looking for. I don't know what the hell it was. It was something with because I was a kid growing up. Like one of my favorite movies was Oliver and Company.
Oh hell
and
yeah!
I was like I wanted to print something out like a screenshot from Oliver and Company or something, and like this guy had a web page with like a whole bunch of screenshots of Oliver and Company. I'm like, oh, cool, okay, and I clicked through that, and then there was like a whole like fan page, like fan artwork, and I was like, oh, and then like that had like a Furnation link on it, and I clicked on that, and it was like, boom, it was like, oh, there's like everything.
Was
It was laid out to you too. Yeah.
Forgive my like noobish, my naivety, but was Furnation like a site like for Affinity prior to Fur Affinity?
Furnation was almost like a web ring. They had their own website, but if you logged into that, there was links to other pages because like the social aspect in the 90s of the web, it wasn't like nothing was really centralized. I mean, like there was VCL or VLC, what is it?
The
VCL. There was VCL, which like was just like a database. You had to like there's links. There was no like real good UI to it. But everything else that was like any like an artist or something that was trying to show off their artwork, they would have like a web page that was, you know, kind of put together, and then all those things were hosted onto Furnation, and then there'd be this like, here's like all the A's and here's all the B's and C's, and it would just be links to those pages, and some of those I think were hosted by Furnation. I think I can't remember, but
but it's specialized in furry social networking though, and that's how you could start meeting furs like IRL.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was
it just like a message board?
I think the way he's explaining it is like it's more like everyone submits to it. It's like, oh hey, here's my webpage.
Yeah.
So like you're going to like an artist webpage. You know how some artists have their own webpage that's not on Fur Affinity or some, you know, some common site that most other people do. They have their own website. That's what Furnation kind of does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Furnation didn't have like their own stuff. It was just like, here's all the artists that are involved in the community, and here's the links to their pages, kind of thing.
Think of it like
but I think some of it was hosted. With
shows how young I am.
Yeah. It's more like think of it like a very manual like DNS server.
Yeah, if you want to go through like a phone book full of like just URLs,
it's a phone book.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, because that was the other thing. Web rings back then. That was like you go to this at the bottom of the page is like we're part of this, you know, this web ring, and we're part of this web ring, and you could just click next on every page that was part of a web ring because there was no Google back then. You couldn't like go, oh, you know. So that was like how you linked stuff together between different people.
Now, what made you go from the online space, because that's how I imagine a lot of furs are when they start, like even back then, into like meetups and then eventually cons? Was it like immediate for you or pretty close, or were you like hesitant about like meeting these people? Or
yeah, I was really hesitant at the time because like I had this interest, but then like I was seeing pictures, and at the time like it was there wasn't really like I couldn't see anything of like a party aspect or any. It was just kind of like, oh, you really like Babs Bunny? Well, you can come to this hotel and we got pictures of Babs and I'm like, no, like I just want to hang out, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, I like artwork and stuff, but like I don't really commission stuff. So like I'm more of like on the performance side of it. So at that time, I didn't really see any like thing from a performance aspect. I did see like a couple like fursuiters and stuff, but it wasn't like, oh, like this is, you know, what I want to do. And so I lurked for like 10 years, and then and then one night I was just like, let me see is there anything going on furry wise like on YouTube? And this was like 2007, 2008, and I searched and I found videos from Anthrocon '07 and Anthrocon '08, and then it was like, oh my god, it's a party. It's like everybody's just running around in these crazy animal costumes. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I was looking for. And then within that year, I was like, all right, let's do this. And this is a crazy story. So I was watching the videos, and I don't know if you've heard of JD Puppy. He's like the brown dog guy that he's super energetic. He's running all over the place in these videos. He's in like every video that I'm watching in 2007, 2008, and I'm like, dude, who the hell is this guy? And so I contact him on LiveJournal, and I'm like, dude, like you're nuts. Like I love how you're performing in this. This is a crazy thing. And we start talking, and I find out the guy works right next door to me in the building across the street. And I'm like, holy crap.
Wait, what?
Yes. So
like,
this guy, Judy Puppy, that I'm watching on YouTube works across the street from me, and I did not know this.
You just discovered like the Fight Club membership right there.
So I run into JD, and I'm like, hey guy, like I love the stuff you're doing. I'm like, and I was like, I really want to go to Anthrocon. I'm like, this is gonna be great. And I'm like, I really want a fursuit, but I the commissions and everything, it's like a big mess. I won't be able to fursuit because this is like 2 months away from Anthrocon.
Did you feel like you needed a fursuit before you went to a convention, or was that just more of like you wanted to perform still, like you mentioned?
Yeah, there was never like there is that misconception of like you need to have a costume, right, to do the first, like, but to me I'm like, I know you don't need to do that. You can you can do whatever you want. But for me, like that was the thing I wanted to do. Like when I go to AC, if I didn't have that, I didn't know what to do. So I was just like, man, I'm going to AC. I can't suit, I don't have a suit, and it's like 2 months away. And JD's like, I can make you a suit, and I'm like, what? Like, yeah, I can make you a suit in a couple.
Wow.
And I'm like. So he like made me this. We designed my character like on a napkin in a Chipotle on a lunch break, and like, and a month later
Origin
I go
story.
to a barbecue and he's got it in a duffel bag and he goes, "Here you go." And it was like, what? And then I go from doing nothing furry to going to Anthrocon and fursuiting at my first convention, first time suiting everything like in 2 months, and I was like, my mind was blown. It was nuts.
And you've basically been involved with like this kind of subculture ever since then, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's so, and I ended up, and it's ironically at that convention, because the same thing in 2000 spring of 2009 when I was getting involved with everything and everything was just exploding. I was like, man, I could probably only be the only guy in town that's like interested in this. And it turns out like there's these other two guys like in the same town as me, like a mile away. And I run into them like because I talked to them online and they're like, oh yeah, we live in the same town. And I'm like, holy crap. And then because I like cars, we start talking cars, and he goes, oh yeah, I drive like a Mercedes-Benz 300D. And I'm like, oh dude, I drive a Volkswagen bus. And we're talking about German cars. And so I'm driving somewhere and I get to an intersection and I see the car that he's describing. And I'm like, that's the guy I was just talking to.
Yeah.
So then we hook up and we're talking and everything. And then he's like, and tell him I'm going to AC. And he's like, oh, we'll go with you to AC. And I'm like, cool, all right. So we all carpool out to AC that year. I mean, and again, I met these guys like 2 months beforehand, and then all of a sudden I'm driving 7 hours with them to Pittsburgh to run around in a hotel. And
hey, it's worth it.
It turns out the two guys that I met are long-term friends with Dragoneer, they knew Dragoneer before he even owned like FA and stuff. So like they known him for a long time. So like, oh, we'll introduce you to our friend Dragoneer. And I'm like, all right. So I'm in my fursuit made by JD, running around like a freaking maniac. And then Dragoneer sees me and he's like, I want this guy. This guy kind of like, this is how I want Fender to be. And he comes up to me and he's like, hey, like I like the way you're performing. You want to talk? You want to see if we can do something with like a fursuit for Fender? And I was like, oh yeah, I'll think about it. And I just like ran away because at the time I didn't know who Fender was because everything was brand new. And after AC was all done, I came back and I logged into Fur Affinity, and then I see like Fender is on the front page, like on the header. I'm like, oh my god, that's like the mascot for Fur Affinity. Like, holy crap, he wants me to be Fender, and
Oh my god! You just taught me
came
that.
Together.
I literally just discovered that. That's who Fender is. Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
How
Thank you.
Chipotle changed somebody's life.
Yeah, Chipotle napkin. You know, and in
Yep,
1
everything.
month.
So within that little time, and the next year rolled around, I was on staff for Fur Affinity United. I had the Fender fursuit, and I was doing the opening ceremonies for the. It just everything. It just kind of just snowballed from there.
And so then I mean, yeah, it sounds like you just went from 0 to 60, and like you got into like the community. And the one thing that I like is like how you described that you're interested in cars. Like there's also a motor fur scene. Like, did you find yourself gravitating more towards the people that, you know, like cars for your, like in your realm as well? Like, I know you have a DeLorean. You just like have been working on a DeLorean, yeah?
Yeah. I just finished restoring the interior and everything on that. It's weird. Like there's a motor first scene, and like they do have car shows at some conventions, and like I like going to those. With furries in general, like a lot of people are like more into like the like tuning and performance aspects of it, and
Drifting
it's like like drifting and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's all cool. Like it's cool. Like, you know, people are interested in that stuff. But like I guess even from a car standpoint, like I'm not like the stuff that I'm interested in is the stuff like the old guys are interested into, like, you know, the like classic cars and stuff.
Ford Model T? No. I don't know.
No. Well, there's a furry that I know. Mannix, he's got a Ford Model T.
Yeah, like some people, they just love the analog click and clack. And sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah. So like, I like to talk and hang out with him, but I don't really fit the demographic of what the motor furs are mostly into, because it's mostly like it's in newer cars. I mean, there are classic ones, but because I'm in more to like, you know, vintage Volkswagens and MGs and British Roadsters and stuff like that.
To be honest, there is certain older cars that still have like just that kind of aesthetic that's just of its time.
Yeah,
that can't be really like beat, like, because I don't know. I admit nowadays a lot of the vehicles have a very samey feel, but it might also be because one, it's too common for us to figure out what really separates the generation of vehicles, because we have, I
think, safety standards.
Maybe safety standards done it too.
Yeah, but like you're definitely right though. If you look at like retro, I mean, what I consider retro vehicles, like 1970s, like Chevrolets or something like that, and like when they used to have like wings as like, you know, rear lights and everything, like they went from this really stylish, like really eye candy type of like, I don't know, like product for the general consumer to very streamlined, like smooth plastic and kind of egg shape. It went from boxy to egg shape basically.
Yeah, it's and that's the other thing. I kind of am like a square peg in a round hole kind of thing with the car the car community, because I'm interested in the crap cars, the lemons, like the underappreciated cars.
I mean, are you telling me a DeLorean isn't a performer?
Yeah, it is not. I have so many people, like, they see me at a light and they want to try to race me, and I'm like, I got 130 horsepower. Like, really, if you punch it, if you like floor the DeLorean, it's got the acceleration of like a minivan. It does not.
Just open the bay doors and then just fly.
That's it. It keeps traffic, but it's not gonna win anything.
Yeah, that reminds me of the time in Guam. We had a van for our duty vehicle, and we are like, you should floor it because it was a free road. And it sounded perfect. It sounded so loud, but yet it went so far, which was only a few inches faster.
What happened to the van?
So it went really loud, and then it just moved very slow.
Oh, it just made noise.
That's it.
Wee. Oh my god. Did you ever see? Well, I'm sure you have, but in VR too, did you ever see the DeLorean meme, where you can like hop in a little DeLorean and it'll fly and you can send it?
Oh yeah, cool. Someone had that, and I made the mistake. Like that thing freaking yeets you into oblivion. I had no idea. Like, you get on the thing, and then you're like, oh, this is fun, and it goes, and it's gone, and you're nowhere near anyone. You're just like in the sky, and you're going like 1,000 miles an hour, and you can't even like reach your menu to get off the damn thing. And so if you, that's a little tip. If you see that little flying DeLorean VR chat and you sit on it, don't get off. Like, just ride it out, tough it out, because you're never coming back if you get off that.
I found the same problem in that Blarg in that world that you showed me, where you can fly jets in a simulator.
The jet fighter world?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But then every time, your menu just gets zipped right behind you. But that's cool.
Jet world's really good.
That one's fun. I also like how they implemented like dogfighting in it too, so you can actually go at each other.
Was the cursed image, Cooper? Did that happen before or after the closures? Was that?
Oh, that was about 3 years ago.
It was old.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
oh, sorry.
It was like
it turned
2016,
really
I think.
hard.
Oh, sorry. I saw that video. The true story is what you released about a year ago. And
That was a year. Yeah, that was a year. I posted that the anniversary, the 1 year anniversary.
Oh, that's what it was. Oh, happy birthday. That's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that took off too. Like, what made you want to do that?
Yeah, it was actually my birthday. It really was my birthday, and for some reason, like I always used to see people like in suit taking birthday pictures, and I never did that. And I was like, man, I really want like a nice, like a cute photo of me with my like a party hat and a picture and all this other stuff.
Adorable.
And like, so I did a little bit like a legit picture, and it was at Skurro's house. He lived in this giant, like, falling down abandoned mansion. It was huge, absolutely huge. And so we're all at Skurro's place where, it's my birthday, and we're, taking pictures. And then it was like, because we always, when we were at that house, we'd always take weird photos. And also Skurro is the king of weird photographs. So like, we're like, we have to do this at Skurro's house. So we took the cake and went up into the attic. He has like, the house is so big. The attic is just a third floor of the house. Like, you can stand up in it. It's got rooms. The attic could be in a house in itself. That's how big this thing is.
Oh, wow.
And there wasn't enough stuff to fill the house with. Like, there was just empty, unused rooms up there. So we're like,
spooky.
dude, we're going to take a picture in the most falling down, derelict looking room you've got. And we just took it and
immediately
threw it up on the internet,
cursed.
and that was it. It was just went crazy.
It reminds me of the other one where there was a couple of furries like with a shotgun in a pool, in an empty pool.
Yep.
Oh my God, look at these furries.
Had very similar cursed energy there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it's funny, like, after that picture was taken, I think it was a year later, the lease ran out on the house and they had to move, but we left the happy birthday streamer up in that room. And that house, the house is now officially abandoned. Like, nobody lives there. So like, if anybody can get into the house, that is just still hanging up in there for like, it's been up there for like 4 years now.
Is it condemned?
It's interesting. Like, where the house is located, it was all farm. It was farmland, and it's in the center of New Jersey, right next to the turnpike. And they changed the zoning of all this farmland, and all of a sudden, these giant distribution centers were coming and leveling all these farmhouses and stuff. And this company just bought all the property on the one side of this road, and we're like, that's it. We're gonna level this stuff. And they didn't know the house is actually a registered historical landmark, and they can't do anything with it. They can't touch it. They can't tear it down. It has to be either you live in it and restore it, or you can't do anything at all. So like, they are stuck. They didn't know what to do. So they just like threw up this rental thing on Craigslist. They're like, does anybody want to freaking live in this haunted mansion? And Skurro is just like, I do, and after they left, they couldn't find anybody else to move. Like, they just couldn't rent it out. It's too dangerous or something. So now it's just, this company owns the house, and it's just sitting there.
Ah, what a waste. Oh,
yeah,
man.
it's a shame. It's a gorgeous, like, if it was fixed up, man, this house is like worth millions of dollars. But
yeah, but it's not like they'll give up the property, I don't think. Just,
I think what's going to happen, it's going to conveniently burn down all of a sudden one day.
Collect that insurance.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And then you could visit Ground Zero. You know.
You know what? And out of all, when it does burn, the only thing that'll be left that's not burned is the happy birthday.
Yeah, that would be in the ashes.
Aww.
Yeah, it's just gonna be happy birthday in the ashes.
Maybe it can become a tradition. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just make it an SCP. We'll just put that in the logs.
Oh gosh.
The furry ritual that turned it into an SCP.
Oh, I'm kind of jaded because I'm an artist myself, so I would like to ask, like, are you more of an avid consumer of like furry art and like in the culture? Like, do you often commission or do you share art often, or how do you like the art scene?
I like what's out there, and I personally I maybe commission one or two things like every couple of years. I don't know what it is, but I have like every time I commission somebody, something horrible happens to them, and I'm terrified to commission anyone.
Oh my God. Can I ask why?
I don't know. The first thing I commissioned, it was like 2010 or something. Like I commissioned somebody and their father dies, and I was like, oh my God. Then like I commission a fursuit and the person's cat dies, and I was like, oh my God. And then like I commissioned another piece of art, and like this person had to like evacuate their house because of forest fires, and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want to commission anything.
Damn, dude. But see what's gonna happen? Something's just bad's gonna happen. It's that SCP house.
I know.
It tails him. It's his ghost.
But yeah, I
wasn't expecting that answer.
Do some commissions, but
do you take free commissions for exposure?
Yeah, I'll pay you with exposure.
Glorious.
But that's kind of like the cool thing I like about I mean, just like the art world too. Like the furry fandom for me, like illuminated me to be like my best self and like become more open and like just more open-minded. So that's what like led me to become an artist, and then like the community itself was super encouraging. Did you find that like no matter what you did, you always could find like somebody very like happy and supportive of like basically whatever you were into?
Yeah,
like as a whole, right?
It's really cool because like I initially when I started posting videos onto YouTube, I didn't know like who was gonna watch it. What I did, because I was so enthralled with the idea of going to a furry convention in 2009, I was like, I have to like document this. I have to record like this, what I'm doing here. And then I put it on YouTube basically to show like my non-furry friends, because at the time I just started doing stuff in the fandom. So like my group of other friends had no idea where I was going, because they're like, dude, what are you doing this weekend? And I was like, I'm going camping. And,
you had to mask it at first, I guess.
And I just vanished for like 5 days, and no one knew where I was. I was at this furry convention. So what I did is I took the video of that, and then I put it on YouTube. And then when I was over at my friend's house, I was like, all right, you want to know where I was for like the 4 days? Here it is. And I played it, and then I blew their minds with that. And then like everybody started watching those videos, and they're like, dude, like I love this stuff that you're doing. That's so funny. And I'm like, really? Like I don't know. Like I just put it on there, So it was interesting to get like feedback from people, because I never really experienced that before. Because it was always I never really did anything creative in a way like that. I mean, I used to do some stuff in college, but like never where it was online. Because back then, YouTube didn't even exist when I was in college.
Oh, so as far as like making YouTube videos or being a quote unquote YouTuber where you're sharing, experiences or vlogs or anything, what have you, you didn't actually start that till you were in the fandom.
Yeah, I had a YouTube channel already there, but it was just like a couple little joke things, like inside jokes that I did with my friends. Mm-hmm. But then I needed somewhere to put the Anthrocon video, and I just kind of threw it on that channel. So like even that's why like the name of the channel is something weird, because I didn't even expect it to do anything. I was just like, let me throw it on here.
I noticed a lot of your humor though too in your vlogs, because you did a comparison for the virtual Ferns experience, and like you like overlaid the video like 1-to-1 with some of them, and then you talked about that weird snake statue or something.
the giant sneaky snake.
You're like, oh, this grand sculpture that they poured their heart and souls into or something. They must have just named it something immaculate. Yeah, the sneaky snake or whatever.
That's it.
What a name.
Wow, what a name.
I know, I love that.
It's like some of the names that like some of our friends have. It's like, oh yeah, what'd you come up with your name for your character? And I was like, oh, it's a lot simpler than I thought it was. I thought it was gonna be a grand adventure.
I opened a fortune cookie.
I was like, oh, that's it.
Or I went to furrynamegenerator.com or something. Oh wait, so
I mean,
I'm guessing
pretty simple too,
is your name Coopertom? Because like Cooper and Tom are both normal names. Is it a combination of anything, or what's the Coopertom backstory?
I ripped the format of the name from Audi Mutt because I saw stuff from him on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, this guy's pretty nuts. Like, I like his name. It's like he's a mutt, and he drives an Audi, so his name's Audi Mutt. I'm like, that's cool.
Oh, okay. So
and I own a Mini Cooper.
Nice.
So I was like, I'm a Tomcat that drives a Mini Cooper, so it's Cooper Tom, you know. And also that name wasn't taken on LiveJournal, so I was like, we're good to go.
I thought Tom came from like Tom and Jerry or something.
Although that was good.
Yeah, I was like, I'm almost at it.
Yeah, it was just a male cat's considered a Tom, female cat's a queen, so Tomcat.
Wait, female cats are queens?
I didn't know.
A male cat's a Tom and a female cat's a queen.
They do act like it.
I love that. I didn't know that. Oh my gosh. Holy shoot. What was the decision to be a cat though? Out of all the species, why cat?
It again. This goes back. I always had this like with animated. I always loved anything with animated animals in it, especially talking animals. Like any cartoons, like I just absorbed all of that. But for some reason, Oliver and Company. I absolutely loved Oliver and Company so much. I was like, this is great. And just the idea of an animated cat, like a talking animated cat, was interesting. So I was like, oh, and then I liked Tom and Jerry. I liked Felix the cat. I liked like anything that was a cat in it. I was like, we're good. I'd watch the crap out of that, you know. And so I always liked animated cats in movies. And then I was like looking at the fandom, and I'm like, everyone's a fox and a wolf and a dog, and I'm like,
still
where
not
are the cats? I mean, there was like tigers and lions. I'm like, where are the regular cats? Where's the nothing domestic nothing cat? Is it in here? And it's like there was like at the time there was like I could name 2, and that was it. And I'm like, dude, I gotta represent.
Still not,
you know.
Untrue. So yeah, still not totally untrue. But
there's a decent amount of cats now.
Are there? I mean,
there's definitely more domestic cats now than there was, but yeah, I was like, and it's strange because like a cat is like the most popular pet in the world. Why wouldn't there be any like in the fandom, you know? So
is it though?
I like cats.
I know you have cats. I'm more of a dog person, but I'm canid bias. Oh woo. But
that's illegal.
Oh, I was just checking out your FA, and I like your I like how you put your slick Cooper Tom design on the shirt. That was really cute. I like those details.
Shirt
in your mall, yeah.
Oh yeah. I drew that years ago, and I was like, man, that looks good on a shirt, and I put it in the mall.
Are there any more Easter eggs like that, or do you have like any other things hidden? But I guess it wouldn't be.
I have a question because I was trying to have Google look this up earlier.
Oh, what?
Above the pizza place,
Sbarro?
Yeah, there's a phrase there. I totally forgot what the phrase is, but what does that phrase mean?
What was the phrase?
That was actually the night I was working on the Sbarro in Unity. I was talking with some friends on like over chat, and one of my friends was really drunk, and he's like, gabagool is like an Italian meal or some type of Italian dish or something like that, and he was drunk and he was like, all gabba no ghoul or something like that.
Okay.
And I was like, what? And he's like, all gabba no ghoul, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to put that above the roof of the Sbarros because it's technically an Italian eatery, and it's just going to confuse the crap out of people.
Okay, so it's not a Yo Gabba Gabba reference. Or
no,
no, it's
totally...
gabagool. It's gabagool. It's like an Italian dish, but when you're kind of drunk, you just kind of break it up to the words ghoul, and you got gabba, and it's all gabba, no ghoul. So it's a nice Italian dish your mother used to make you.
Oh, chef kiss.
Gosh,
that's pretty cool. I like that.
Okay, well at least I understand the reference now because I was just out there with Moku and we're just like, and then I was just like, telling Google or trying to ask Google, and then Google was just ignored me. I was like, okay, Google, whatever.
Google won't even know.
Yeah, even Google won't even know.
Can I poke you about so what was it like being also like the FA mascot? Because I don't think I can ask a whole lot of people about that experience.
Yeah, I was totally blown away with him coming to me. I was like, what? Like, all right, and yeah, it was really, really, really cool. So it was also interesting too, because like as being like portraying my characters, and I was like, all right, let me like do what I want with this. But when I was like with Fender, I'm like, there's really, I just have, I'm just going through. I'm like, hey, I'm Fender. You want to, picture and all that stuff, and people telling me FA's down and all that stuff. So like, it's a nice like separation to like, I'll do my character for a while and be like, all right, let's mix it up a little bit, and then I'll do Fender so like I can break it up when I'm at a convention. I'm not like constantly, doing one character.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I kind of want to get into, because I'll often like ask first to whom I interview, and it's like, well, when you're in this like performance mode, at least for like your Sona, because it's so personal, like you choose your species, you choose your character design, you get it made, and it's like it's really personal. So is that more or less an exaggerated version of yourself, or somebody entirely different, or just yourself?
Yeah, it kind of morphed over the years, because like when I first started, I had this idea like, don't like, because I was gonna get like the fursuit and everything, and I was like, all right, I'm doing this is the first fursuit I'm getting, and I was like, I'm not gonna get the my character right now, like let me try something, and if it doesn't work, I'm not stuck, So I had the Sheds dog, and that was just I was playing up like a Brooklyn accent kind of thing, and then I got Rocket Wolf, and I was like, all right, I was still playing like a character, and then when I finally got Cooper, like 3 years into I think it was 2015, no, it was 2013, I think I got him, or 2012 or whatever, and I was like, all right, this is my character. This is more like a representation of myself, and I kind of played it up a little bit, but over the years, it's just like that's just me. So like it's weird. So like when I am portraying that character, it's just I am just defaulted to that thing. So I don't really have anything, like I'm not thinking about acting or anything. It's just me, which is nice. It's kind of refreshing.
There's not
but
a whole lot
if
of
I want to
stress.
mix it up, then I can click over to Fender or somebody else. But like so it over the years it's just me now, because I've been doing it for all these years with that character. So
yeah, that's what I like too. It's so funny. It's like it's less of just like, it's not like it's so funny. It's like it's not just a persona. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm me in out of suit, and that's who you.
It kind of goes into like different takes, of like how some people represent themselves, because some people use it as an outlet of like a more like what they want to be type of style.
It's an easier like way to express themselves, right?
Yeah,
Because
in
a lot
some
of
ways.
furs have that kind of trouble too. Like,
But it again, each is to their own to like how they want to portray themselves in their suits.
I feel like sometimes there's that perspective where it's like, oh, you want to meet somebody, and then like they're different in suit, and then maybe like they're nicer like in suit maybe, or like you'll go to a room party or something, and it's like, oh, you're not the person I thought you were or something. Maybe.
I don't think I've had that.
Okay, well that's good.
I like I forget what the hell what's called. It's the between of like an introvert and extrovert. There's like ambivert, and I kind of am like in that area, because in suit I am running up to everybody. I am talking to everyone. Like I'll talk your ear off. Like I nothing, and just everywhere. But out of suit, like I still have like that type of energy, but I out of suit, I'm in definitely a smaller circle. Like if I'm at a room party, out of suit, I am not the person like the center of attention in the middle of the room. But if I'm in the suit, then I'm like, So when I'm out, I'm more reserved.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm chilling right now, kind of thing, But other than that, that's the only really difference.
Yeah, it'd be too hard to be like at 100% all the time. Yeah, you would get burnt out so fast, I would imagine. I mean, geez, yeah, I've only been to one con though too, but I think yeah, both of you guys like I think. Well, how many cons have you been to, babe? Like 5 plus, 6, 7, 8, 9?
I'm not gonna pull up the streamer of badges that I have behind me. I've been to a little too many.
I know, but like, I mean, as a whole though, like, I'm excited to go to more cons when they do open, and I would think that like, I don't know. I think I've seen already like other countries like Thailand and stuff. They already have their dealers' dens open, and the only difference is that they're wearing masks now, and you know, socially distancing.
I mean, everyone's different on how they will handle their policies and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't mind. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not.
You're just reminiscing on cons now.
Yeah, this is not very professional. I'm sorry, but.
So I guess in terms of like other stuff, what's moving on to other things, like what's your outlook, like especially now, like in terms of the VR space? Because I guess in some ways, like what's your take on, especially like with the way Facebook handled Oculus and then Oculus 2 coming out and like the advancement of VR, like when do you think is like going to be the pinnacle of like the VR, like in your eyes, like what would be like?
Was that related to the augmented overlay of VR,
like or even augmented, like what would be like?
Yeah, like
what's your future imagination of like what do you think VR?
Oh,
AR
definitely,
is gonna be like?
yeah. Incorporating virtual reality technology into live space, convention space would be the pinnacle. It would be amazing. And it's as far as the technology and like even with like Facebook and stuff. Unfortunately, I got stuck because I kickstarted Oculus and I never had a Facebook account. I never had anything to do with Facebook. I never touched the thing. And when I learned that Facebook was buying Oculus, I was like, well, I already have my pre-order in. I'm like, I can't do anything about this. I'm just going to have to deal with it. And thankfully, at the time, the owners of Oculus were swearing up and down, like, you never have to do anything with Facebook. It's just they bought us. And it was true. It was totally true because I been using their stuff since 2014, and not once did I see a single thing that said Facebook on it. It was like, you logged into Oculus, you saw Oculus, you didn't see anything Facebook, and I'm like, I don't have a Facebook account, and I can still use everything. This is fine. This is great.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, and then actually a couple of days ago, I booted the computer up, I put the headset on, and the thing was like, oh yeah, we'd really like you to open up a Facebook account so you can, and I'm like, no, and then so I got 2 years before they actually axe my Oculus account. So
yep.
Who knows? From that time, I might get something else. I might get a different headset, or maybe someone will make some type of hack that you can just rip out all the Oculus software and just run with it, you know?
I wouldn't be surprised at that, to be honest. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
At what point would it become scary for you? Because now we have like haptic feedback gloves and like there's like a vibration motor vest.
That's actually a really
like
good question.
People can actually touch you and you could feel where they're like poking you or whatever. But like, like what is too far? You know? Like what
it's an interesting scenario because even from like a personal space standpoint, like I've seen it already in VR chat where someone will have like a very seductive looking avatar and people are just going nuts, like poking their hands through it and stuff. And I'm like, yes, technically you aren't physically doing anything to the person, but like visually you are. So like, I don't know what this is
my no-no square.
Like, that's a very strange gray area. And especially when you start incorporating like feedback, like gloves and things, like I have no idea where that's gonna go. Like that is it's bizarre.
I saw that demo where like they had these like spider looking things that went over your fingers so you could even feel like the force of gripping something. They were like,
that would be nice.
They were like, actually, yeah, that would be pretty cool. Like if you could like pick up a bottle or something, or like these small bladders that trigger on your palm, so like you could feel the most minute of like a small fox on your palm, like walking around, or like a spider. It was pretty wild. And we even have those like full like 360 like treadmills or something coming out soon. So I don't know, like the sky's the limit. And then it's like, it's so much more convincing. It's like, well, the only time I'm gonna ever have to step out of VR now is when I need to either like work or sleep. or pee, I guess. Use the bathroom.
Oh, I've seen people on VR chat like with I guess the new the Oculus Quest is like wireless or something, and I've seen people who are like, I gotta go use the John, and
Don't know.
they keep the thing on and they're just doing their business, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I saw
It's a new thing. I mean, yeah, you can
There
map
was-
your whole house, I guess, and you walk around your house freely in VR.
I mean, Cooper, you did have a video of where you were like recording in like a Target bathroom though, in virtual reality. Or no, I thought it looked like a Target bathroom, but then
That was
like-
The Shining. Yeah, that was the bathroom in
yeah.
The Shining.
Oh,
it's like
nice.
I can't go. You're looking at me.
Looking at me.
Freaking Shining. What a good movie.
But
Oh, that I was so happy when I saw the gold room because again I was thinking about making movie sets, and I was really thinking about making stuff from The Shining, like the lodge and like
in the
the
maze?
gold room and stuff.
Ooh.
And then I saw someone make it, and I was like, great! I don't have to do it. It looks great.
I
Have you
wonder.
ever seen The Shining, dude?
No, I have
Ah,
not.
Oh, it's
my
really good.
goodness.
I know. I'm checking it out right now. I'm looking up the gold room.
Oh, now it makes me want to like dress up my character with a red tuxedo and just stand ominously.
I'm guessing it's supposed to be spooky.
Yeah.
It's
So
like a psychological horror film.
Are there
Yeah.
like two twins standing in the middle of the hallway or something?
yes.
Yep.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
I know.
the-
What you,
the
I know what
hallway
you're
gets
talking.
flooded. Yeah.
Okay, I know. And like, there's like isn't there like a tricycle scene or something too?
Yeah, the kid Danny riding the trike. Yeah, even if you've never seen The Shining, there are so many references. Like, it's just a pop culture thing that's
Yeah,
out there.
it's a
Like
classic.
you'll definitely notice stuff.
All
Oh.
work, no play makes
Should totally host a con in that then. That'd be dope.
all work, no play.
I'll wine
Makes
and dine.
Makes Jack a dull boy.
Jeez.
So good.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else I'd like to mention, but I really wanted to get into all of the VR talk with you, Cooper, and I felt like, I don't know, I got to like learn a bit more. I don't know, that was really cool. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about, babe.
What is your is there any more projects that you're thinking to work on, or like things that's going on in your life that you want to put out there for everybody, to whoever listens?
Yeah, well, I want to finish up the Mr. Rogers set and get that published, and then I actually had some of the PR people from FA. They want me to do some like PSA stuff with Fender, so like I'm gonna be working on some videos, like about social distancing and masks and stuff like that with Fender. So that's what I got on the plate right now. And also I did some voiceover work recently.
Ooh, you want to get into
and-
that? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was I can't say exactly what it is. It's coming out tomorrow actually.
Oh.
But it's a YouTube series that's it's pretty popular. And I was like I was blown away when they like came to me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to do a thing?" And I'm like, hell yes, I'd want to do, because I never did any voiceover work.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, right now at the time too, with all this COVID stuff, I'm out of work. I'm like sitting at home, and I'm like, yeah, you want to pay me to read something? I'll read something, So, yeah, so that's pretty cool. So once that debuts, I'm gonna be like, I'll do like a thing of like, hey, you want me to read something? I'll do it.
Oh, looking forward to that. Well, when you can release that information, of course.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's
Just request you to
tomorrow.
read
Tomorrow
Furry
will be the
or
day,
whatever.
and I can just show I can show the world my very first voiceover work.
Oh, excited. That's cool. And yeah, you've mentioned you've always liked cartoons and stuff, so
Yeah.
that'd be really cool to join and watch.
Like,
Are there
Roger Rabbit?
Oh, Roger Rabbit,
Frank-
man, that was
Oof.
another one. I was 5 when that came out, and every weekend when that was in the movie, I made my mom take me to the mall to go see that. Like, it was that entire summer was Roger Rabbit. Like, all right, it's weekend, we're gonna go to the mall, see Roger Rabbit. And it was just
Is
a
that
thing.
in your mall? I don't
Yeah,
think
is
it
that in?
I'm surprised it's not.
Is that in
Roger
one of
Rabbit?
your movie posters? I don't think that was in there.
Yeah, well, the mall, I kind of dated that like very late '89.
Okay.
So that's when Roger Rabbit came out on tape. So if you go to the Suncoast video on the second floor, it says like new release, and it's like Roger Rabbit, and I have a whole wall of Roger Rabbit VHS tapes that you can pick up and throw around.
Oh, I can't wait till you add more too. And like, I mean, I'm really excited for like the people that you were collabing with to get more like video games and stuff in your arcade. That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, thanks for joining us, Coopertom, here on TreeBark. Are there any last plugs or anything that you'd like to share with people so they can follow you and your work and your projects?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, on Twitter, and because anything that I'm doing, the first place I post it is on Twitter, at the Coopertom, and yeah, that, and it could be anything. I don't know. It could be working on restoring a car. It could be making something in, VR chat. It could be making a video for YouTube. it could be anything. So if you're interested in anything, that's where you'll find it, is on my Twitter account first.
Okay, guys, you heard it first. Go check out Coopertom on Twitter if you want to follow his work. I'll post those in the links below, as well as his YouTube or anything else. Do you stream or do any streams? Sometimes.
No, I mean, I do live stream on Periscope if I do the Coopertom show on VR chat. Yeah, that's just, on the same thing that's linked to my Twitter. So yeah, everything will be there. And those are totally random, because everybody's always asking me like, oh, when are you gonna do the next Coopertom show? And I'm like, when I feel like it. Like I don't know. It's whenever.
Okay, but that would be really cool. Go check out the show. Go check out his media. Go check out his videos and his tours and VR chat. It's really cool, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed, and thanks for spending some time with us, Cooper.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. It was really, really fun.
A huge shout out to our monthly Barker supporters over on Patreon: Arcani, Artorius Nightwalker, Boarki, Damien, Daniel Kurtzkopf, Damian Adams, Elryra, Ferris, Florian Graywood, Hattie, Jack Scott, Jason, Jay Wolf, Justin Wolfhart, Canuck 82562, Kyle Maloney, Lowfly, Michael Draws, Naruto Sonic, Rix, Ryan the Wolf, The Pieman 78, Tyler DeRosier, Wolfie Snuggles, Yeen Pops, and Euro Panda Wolf.
Thank you all for supporting the TreeBark podcast and all of my furry art endeavors. I could not have improved and come this far without your love and patronage. As always, if you'd like to see more of my content, you can follow me on Twitter at Shikokubo or on FA at Shikokubo. That's SHIKOKUBO. Take care.